Chapter 10. The Wall. The tram did not slow. Warning lights strobed along the tunnel, painting the inside of the car in urgent red. The bulkhead ahead loomed larger with every fraction of a second, a flat, implacable circle of armor. It had no seams, no viewport, no sign it had been there a minute ago. "The Emperor just grew a door where we want to be," Pick shouted over the rising whine of the mag rails. "Anyone got a miracle handy?" Sella hammered the controls. "Emergency brake is locked out," she yelled. "You overrode the safeties remotely. I can't cut power to the coils. We're riding this thing until impact." Luke braced himself, one hand on the rail, one on Superman's forearm. The force roiled here, currents twisted by the neutron star and the Emperor's will. He reached out anyway, trying to wrap invisible fingers around the tram, to bleed speed away. Something pushed back. Not just gravity, a mind. A cold, amused pressure that slapped his effort aside, like a parent batting away a child's hand. "By all means, Luke," Palpatine's voice purred from nowhere and everywhere. "Try." The floor heaved under their feet as the tram surged faster. "True! True!" Kara snapped. "Front!" The big alien understood, without needing basic. He lumbered forward, planting himself at the front edge of the tram, massive frame spreading out like a living bulwark. His exo-frame's servos whined as he locked its joints. He slammed both hands against the forward rail, claws digging in. Superman pulled free of Luke's grip and moved up beside him. "Kara," Luke started. Superman didn't look back. "I catch things for a living," he said. "This is the one part of my job description I'm still good at today." Drew rumbled something deep and approving. Superman planted his feet the way his father had taught him, when the tractor stuck in the mud. A little apart, knees bent, weight ready to flow through the ground. Except now, there was no ground, just a tram, a rail, and a wall. His muscles complained. His burns throbbed. The Emperor's dampening still sat on his cells like lead. He pushed it aside. "You two are insane," Tanis muttered. "Insane is our brand," Kara said tightly. "Everyone down!" Peak, Sella, Tanis, and Luke slammed against the aft bulkhead, grabbing whatever they could. Kara wedged herself beside them, one hand on the emergency kit, the other on the rail. Luke kept hold of the force. If he couldn't stop the tram, he could shape the impact. Ahead, the bulkhead filled the tunnel. Superman glanced at Druv. "On 3, he said. Druv bared his teeth. They counted together. 1, Superman said. The Emperor's presence pressed in, a smile in the darkness. 2, Druv growled. The tram screamed along the rails, metal vibrating. 3, they hit. The impact was like being inside a thunderclap. Superman slammed into the front rail with both hands, body taking the full brunt. Metal shrieked as it crumpled. The forward plate of the tram buckled, folding inward. Druv roared, exo-frame groaning under the strain. The bulkhead didn't move, for a fraction of a heartbeat. Then it did. All that momentum, all that mass, all that stubborn refusal to give alongside Druv's brute strength and Luke's invisible shove, focused on a circle the size of a fist. The armor dented. It dimpled. Then it tore. The tram's nose punched through, ripping the bulkhead open like a can. The wall behind it buckled as well, an inner corridor exploding into a spray of shards and sparks. The whole world lurched. The tram jumped off the rail, skidding sideways into the new opening. Everyone on board was thrown in a heap. The sound of tearing metal and shattering plates drowned out the alarms. Then, abruptly, they were still. Or still enough. For a moment, the only sound was a chorus of groans and the ripple of settling debris. Kara's ears rang. She peeled herself off the rear wall and did a quick head count. "Everyone breathing?" She coughed. Peak raised a hand weakly. "Present," he croaked. Sella rolled over, groaning. "Never," she muttered. "Let Druv and a Kryptonian drive." Tanis spat dust. "I want hazard pay," he said. Luke shook plaster out of his hair and pushed himself up on one elbow. "Druv, was half buried in twisted metal at the front of the tram, chest heaving. One arm hung at an odd angle, exo-frame joints sparking, but he was conscious. Superman lay sprawled next to him, shoulders smoking, fingers still locked white-knuckled around the mangled rail. He had left 2 hand-shaped dents in the alloy. Clock. Kara scrambled forward, slipping on a loose plate. Superman groaned. That, he said hoarsely, would have been easier on a Tuesday. He tried to stand. Luke was there, hand under his elbow supporting. Superman's legs held. Just. I am adding walls to my list of things you are no longer allowed to catch, Kara said. Right under Falling Stars Destroyers. He gave her a strained half-smile. If we are making a list, he said, put Emperors on it too. I like that one better, Peak said. Behind them, the shattered bulkhead glowed faintly, edges melted. Through the jagged hole, a new section of the station sprawled, a wider corridor with reinforced ribs, conduits thicker than a man's torso, and, far at the end, a faint glow of blue and white. Where are we? Tanis asked, wincing as he climbed out of the wreckage. Seela checked her datapad, brow furrowing. We overshot the maintenance line, she said, by about 30 meters and one formerly solid wall. According to the schematics, this is central structure access. Closer to the core than I'd ever want to be. Luke followed her gaze down the corridor. He could feel it now, a tug at his gut, a low hum in the force. The Emperor was near. It's where he wanted us, Luke said. Kara made a face. Of course it is, she said. You don't tilt the whole station just to miss. Palpatine's voice rolled through the speakers again, a purr laced with satisfied curiosity. I must commend your ingenuity, he said. There are simpler ways to open a door, of course. But dramatic excess has its charm. Kara shot a glare at the nearest wall panel. You know, for a man who hates hope, you talk a lot, she snapped. I have waited a long time for something interesting, the Emperor said. Indulge me. Debate him later, Seller said tersely. Movement on internal sensors. Station security converging from multiple vectors. We stay here, we get boxed in. Para nodded. All right, she said. Change of plan. Docking ring is still locked down. Emperor is clearly not going to let us stroll back to Theta 9. But this corridor touches the central core. You know what central cores have? Big things to blow up? Pick offered. Control systems, Kara said. If we can reach the right nexus, we might be able to unlock the docks, scramble their targeting, and maybe give this place a bad enough headache to cover our escape. And if the Emperor is literally standing there? Tanis asked. Then, we are in the right place to ruin his day, Kara said. Superman straightened as much as he could. You do not take him head on, he said. Not if you can help it. He twists things. Words. Feelings. Luke glanced at him. You have been holding him off this whole time, he said. How? By remembering I am not alone, Superman said simply. He wants you to believe you are the only thing standing between chaos and order, or between your friends and death. That the only way to save people is to do it his way. Do not buy it. Luke nodded once. I won't, he said. He hoped he wasn't lying. Kara clapped her hands once. We're wasting time, she said. Seller, you're with me and Luke up front. Tanis, Pick, Druve, guard the rear and keep Clark moving. Druve, can you walk? Druve rumbled affirmative, flexing his injured arm. The exoframe sparked, then stabilized. It would not be pretty, but it would hold. They moved. The central corridor's gravity was wrong. It shifted subtly under their feet, light in one step, heavy the next. The neutron star's pull was strongest here, and the station's compensators fought it constantly. Combined with the Emperor's manipulations, it made every stride feel like walking through a dream that changed its mind. Luke could feel the Emperor's attention now, focused like a magnifying glass. He tried to keep his mind quiet. The corridor opened into a large circular chamber. It was not a throne room. That tetricality belonged to other fortresses. This was a control nexus. a place where machines and minds intertwined. A ring of consoles encircled a central platform. Above it, suspended in a shimmering energy field, hung a three-dimensional projection of the station, the orbiting neutron star, and lines of power arcing between them like ghostly veins. The air smelled of ozone and something older, like a storm that refused to end. At the far side of the platform, flanked by a half-circle of crimson guards, stood Emperor Palpatine. In person. In the flesh. His hood was up, his face shadowed, but his eyes glowed yellow in the gloom. His hands were folded on the head of a simple black cane. He looked utterly at home. "Welcome," he said. The royal guards shifted slightly, force pikes rising as one. Kara's fingers twitched toward her blaster. Luke put a hand out, stopping her. "No," he said quietly. "Not yet." Palpatine's smile deepened. "You have done well to get this far," he said. "Now, most who set foot on this station leave only as ash, data, or interesting stains. You, however, have earned an audience. We didn't come here to entertain you," Kara said. "On the contrary," Palpatine said. "You came here for a spectacle, a rescue, a daring raid into the heart of darkness to snatch a star from the abyss. How very noble, how very dramatic." His gaze slid to Superman, who stood with one arm still braced against Drew's side. "And how very predictable," he added. "You are not the first to risk everything for one man, Superman. Nor will you be the last. Heroes breed folly." Superman met his eyes, despite the ache in his bones. "If you call compassion folly," he said, "I'll take it." Palpatine chuckled. "Compassion," he said. "A sentiment I have seen ruin empires, including the one you so admire, Jedi boy." Luke said nothing. He could feel the dark side tick here, coiling around Palpatine like smoke. It whispered of power, of certainty, of endings. It offered relief from doubt. He breathed. Let the temptation pass through him. Palpatine tilted his head. "You have grown since last we met," he said. "More control, more restraint. You are learning to mute your presence. Smart. A cornered animal that plays dead sometimes avoids the knife." "If you think I came here to fight you," Luke said, "you're wrong." "Of course you did not," Palpatine said. "You came for him." He gestured lazily at Superman. "And yet here you both are, in my grasp," he continued. "You, the stray son. He, the stray son. Two lights out of place. Two potential blades. Together, you could cut interesting shapes." Kara glanced at Luke. "Stray son," she whispered. Luke's throat tightened. He knew what the Emperor meant. He had not spoken it aloud to many. "I am not here to be your anything," Luke said. Palpatine chuckled. "Not yet," he said. His gaze returned to Superman. "You resisted admirably," he said. "Most beings, faced with the visions I showed you, the offers I made, would have grasped at any chance to end their pain, to save their worlds. You, however, cling stubbornly to the idea that you can save all worlds without compromise." Superman's jaw clenched. "I will not trade one world for another," he said. "Even your own?" Palpatine asked softly. "Even your beloved Earth?" He flicked his fingers. The holographic model above the platform twisted. The spindle shrank, the neutron star became a point, and in its place a map bloomed, a swirl of galaxies, then a spiral arm, then a tiny dot of a star, a yellow star. Around it, blue and green. Superman's breath caught. He knew it could be a trick, an illusion, a protection of his own mind fed back at him. And yet, the hologram zoomed closer, focusing on a blue marble wrapped in white clouds. Metropolis glinted faintly on a curve of continent. The Arctic, where his fortress lay, stretched white and immaculate. Kansas was a blur of green and brown. Palpatine's voice softened. "Recognize it?" he asked. "I have spent quite some time tracing the resonance you tore into reality when you arrived. The rip in the fabric you left behind was instructive. With that, and your presence here, I can triangulate, approximate, identify." He watched Superman's face carefully. Luke swallowed. Through the Force, he could feel Superman's heart spiking. Not just from shock, from a wrenching mixture of joy and fear. "I told you I could find your home," Palpatine said. "Now, I can reach it. Not yet with fleets, the energies involved are temperamental. But with focused force, with time, with the right anchor," he gestured at Superman. "I could open a door," he said. "A path for you, perhaps for others. Imagine you step through, and there is your world. You could fly under that sun again, hear the wind over your parents' fields." For a heartbeat, Superman let himself feel it. The warmth on his face, Pa's old truck bouncing down a dusty road, Lois's laugh over coffee. He closed his eyes. "Of course," Palpatine went on pleasantly. "Doors swing both ways. I could send you home. I could also send other things. Ships, weapons, a taste of what you have been dealing with here." The hologram flickered. For an instant, Earth burned. Beams of green lanced down from orbit. Cities blossomed in fire, then crumbled into dust. The oceans boiled. Metropolis vanished under a flare. "Krypton, again." "Stop," Superman said, voice raw. Palpatine did not. He let the image linger for a second longer, then shifted it back to the serene blue world. "The choice is simple," he said. He lifted a hand. "Stay with them," he said, nodding at Kara, Luke, the others, "and fight me here. Refuse to bend. Perhaps you even manage to hurt me a little. In doing so, you ensure that when I am ready, I will step through, and your Earth will know the haste of my rule. And your stubborn refusal, your hope, will be to blame for every scream." He let that hang in the air. "Or," he said softly, "help me. Not as a groveling slave, but as a partner. Lend me your power to crush this petty rebellion quickly, cleanly, save lives in the long run. In return, I will focus my attention here. I will leave your world untouched. You may even see it again." He smiled, teeth small and sharp behind cracked lips. "This galaxy," he said, "or yours. Sacrifice the one to save the other. Or doom both with your idealism." Luke stepped forward, anger flaring. "That isn't a choice," he said. "It's blackmail. Most meaningful decisions are," Palpatine said. "Spare me your moral outrage, boy. You think the galaxy cares whether the hand that holds the knife feels guilty. Only whose throat it's pressed against." He looked back to Superman. "Well," he asked, "you pride yourself on decisions, on taking the weight of worlds on your shoulders. Here is your chance. Accept the burden. Be the man who saved Earth by letting strangers die. Or be the man who let both burn because he would not get his hands dirty." Kara stared at Superman, heart pounding. "Don't you dare," she whispered. He didn't look at her. He couldn't. The images clashed behind his eyes. Refugees on battered transports. Kids on Alderaan who would never grow up. Earth's sky going dark. Mars' hands in the soil. He had always refused no-win scenarios, refused to believe in them. But this wasn't a burning building where he could punch a new exit. This was a man willing to burn everything. "That's not how this works," Superman said slowly. His voice shook, but there was iron under it. "You want me to pick a ledger," he said. "This world or that one. These people or my own. You're trying to get me to accept your premise. That someone has to sit above everyone and decide who lives. Decide whose suffering is acceptable collateral." Palpatine's smile thinned. "Someone always does," he said. "You do it every time you choose one building over another. One city over another." "Yes," Superman said. "Every time I make the best call I can with the time I have. And then I go back. I keep going until I can't. That's the job." He lifted his head fully, meeting Palpatine's gaze. "But I don't get to decide that one group is forever worth more," he said. "That this galaxy is expendable and mine isn't. That's not a choice anyone is allowed to make. Not me." Not you. You would let your Earth burn, Palpatine asked softly. No, Superman said. I'll fight to save it. I'll fight to save this one. Both. All of them. I'll fight you in every galaxy if I have to. He smiled, small and fierce. And I won't do it by becoming you. Palpatine's eyes flashed. Fool, he hissed. He extended both hands. The world turned white. Force lightning did not feel like electricity. Superman knew electricity. He had flown into power plants to stop meltdowns, taken bolts of lightning when storms went wrong, been used as a living conductor by villains with more ambition than sense. Electricity hurt, but it was simple. This wasn't. The lightning that arced from Palpatine's fingers was cold and hot at once, searing nerve endings while freezing something deeper. It crawled under his skin, through bone, along the microscopic spaces between cells. It tore at the way his body held sunlight, at the patterns that made him him. He screamed. His legs buckled. Drew roared and went down under the spillover. Peak and Tannis were thrown back, armor smoking. Para's blaster flew from her hand as she caught herself on a railing. Luke felt the impact through the Force, like a hammer blow. The dark side surged, thick and hungry. Palpatine's face twisted, bliss and fury mingling. See! He hissed over the crackle. You are not untouchable. Power is nothing without direction, without control. You shine bright, but you burn blindly. Superman's muscles spasmed. Every instinct screamed at him to curl, to protect his core. He made himself stay upright. I've had worse, he gasped through clenched teeth. The Emperor's lip curled. He intensified the stream. Luke stepped in. He ignited his saber with a snap hiss of green. The blade leapt up, intercepting arcs of lightning. It conducted the energy away, into the floor, into the surrounding machinery. The smell of ozone thickened. Pain lanced up Luke's arms, but he pushed back with the Force, redirecting the stream. Palpatine cackled. Yes, he crooned. Good. Feel it. Let it flow through you. Fight me, boy. Strike me down. Unleash your anger. Only then will you have the strength to protect him. The temptation was there. Luke could end this. If he poured everything into a single furious push, he might break through the Emperor's defenses. Might. He saw, in a flash of possible futures, himself leaping forward, saber raised high, lightning reaving the blade as he drove it downward in an arc of screaming light. He saw the darkness that followed. He took a breath instead. He grounded the rage. Not banished, acknowledged. Then let go. No, he said between his teeth. I don't need your strength. He widened his stance, both hands on the hilt, and turned his effort not to attacking, but to absorbing and deflecting. I want this pain, but don't need your strength. You will find me as a change. The lightning split. Less of it hit Superman now, but it still crawled along his skin, drawing more screams from his throat. Kara pushed herself up, fingers numb. She grabbed Pick's shoulder. You still with me? She rasped. Define with, he wheezed. Good enough, she said. She looked up at the hollow. The projection of Earth still hung there. Next to it, the spindle's own schematic pulsed. Lines of power ran from the neutron star to a node directly beneath them. That node glowed brighter with every second of lightning. Tannis, she barked. That thing under us. Tannis dragged himself to a console, half blind from the flash. He squinted at the readings. Oh, he said faintly. Oh, that's not good. What? Sella coughed, pulling herself up by the edge of a station. He's using Superman as a lens, Tannis said. The dampener grid, the core, the neutron star, it's all tied into that thing in the floor. He's channeling the energy through the same resonance he used to locate Earth. If he keeps it up, he could punch a hole through reality big enough to drive a Star Destroyer, or tear this station apart, Sella said. Or both, Tannis said. Kara looked at the Emperor, then at the glowing node, then at Superman, buckling under the lightning. Her stomach dropped. He's not bluffing, is he? She whispered. He really can hit Earth. eventually Tanner said. He's testing thresholds now. But even this test could. The floor shuddered. A spiderweb of cracks ran through the plating beneath the central platform, glowing faintly violet. The air trembled. Palpatine laughed, delighted. Do you feel it? He crowed. The thinness between worlds? The potential? Superman did. Through the haze of pain, he felt something tugging at him. Not his body, but his history. Memories. The trajectory that had spat him out into this galaxy now wanted to snap back. Clark, Luke grunted, bracing against the next wave of lightning. Can you hear me? Superman forced his eyes open. I'm kind of busy, he managed. Luke smiled tightly. Busy is our constant state, he said. Question is, can you move? Superman looked at the floor, at the glowing node, at the lines of power running through it. He thought of all the times he had thrown himself between fragile things and forces meant to tear them apart. He'd done it with trains, with planes, with people. Now, the fragile thing was everything. You're going to hate this, he said. He drew in a breath that tasted like burning metal. Then he stepped forward, into the lightning. Luke shouted, but there was no time to stop him. Superman let go of Drew's support, muscles screaming. Each step took an eternity, his boots leaving scorched prints on the floor. Lightning crawled over him, trying to chew him to pieces. The Emperor smiled and poured more into the stream. It was like walking into a waterfall made of knives. He pushed anyway. He had never been as fast as the Flash, never as magically attuned as Diana. What he had was stubbornness, and the ability to take absurd amounts of punishment. It would have to be enough. Each step brought him closer to the node. Palpatine's eyes widened. What are you doing? He hissed. Superman gritted his teeth. What I always do, he rasped. I get in the way. He reached the edge of the glowing circle. The vibrations were so intense now, they blurred his vision. The hologram of Earth flickered wildly, images stuttering between blue serenity and violent destruction. If you touch that core, Palpatine snapped. You will. Superman didn't let him finish. He threw himself forward, not away from the power, but into it. For a heartbeat, he was nowhere. And everywhere. He felt the neutron star's crushing mass, the spindle's metal bones, the tear between realities, war and unfinished. Earth, bright and beautiful and impossibly far. He felt the Emperor's will trying to yoke all of it. He did what he always did when someone tried to weaponize him. He broke the chain. He shoved out, not with force, but with sheer refusal. With every memory of every person he had ever saved, with Kansas dirt under his boots and Krypton's last lullabies in his bones, with Kara's laugh, Howden's frown, Luke's steady gaze, a Twi'lek kid's wide eyes in a freighter hallway. The node screamed. Light flared, blinding. Palpatine staggered, the lightning from his hands hiccuping. No, he snarled. The core overloaded. There was no explosion. Not a big cinematic one. Just a shuddering, guttural snap as overloaded conduits vaporized in a ring, severing the connection between the node, the neutron star, and the dampening grid. The hologram above them shattered, fragments of light swirling away like embers. The floor dropped a fraction of an inch, then stabilized on backup supports. The lightning cut off. Superman flew backward. He hit the deck hard, sliding, smoke trailing from his suit. The S on his chest was blackened almost beyond recognition now. His skin was a patchwork of burns and healing. He didn't move. Clark! Kara shouted. Luke extinguished his saber and threw both hands out, bracing in the force as the room heaved. The Emperor staggered, then caught himself. His face was murderous. You insolent child, he hissed. Wisps of dark energy curled from his fingertips. You have ruined years of work, he said. You have cost me a tool I could have used to reshape realities. For that alone, I will. An alarm blared, a different one. Harsh, urgent, mechanical. Sella glanced at the nearest console. Station power grid just rerouted to emergency mode, she said, astonished. He lost control of the core. The neutron star's flux is spiking. Shield harmonics are dropping. Tanis gulped. In plain basic? He said. In plain basic, Sella said. This place is one bad fluctuation away from coming apart like a cheap bulkhead. Palpatine's lip curled. Imbeciles, he hissed. He flicked his fingers. Across the station, systems obeyed. Backup regulators spun up, directing excess energy into deep reserves. Shield generators seized control of their own fields, damping oscillations. He could just keep it from tearing itself apart, but only if he focused. He glared at Superman's crumpled form, at Luke, at Kara, and the others. He extended one hand. Royal guards moved instinctively to step in. He froze them with a gesture. No, he said softly. Not today. Kara blinked. What? She said. The Emperor's eyes burned. You think this is a victory, he said. A daring blow against the great enemy. You have slowed me, yes. You have cost me a toy. You have soiled my station, he smiled, thin and hateful. But you have also shown me much, he said. How resilient he is. How you react when threatened. That you will walk into hell for each other. His smile widened. That is information I can use, he said. Luke felt a chill. Palpatine had called off a kill, not out of mercy, out of planning. You are letting us go? Luke said carefully. Letting is a generous term, Palpatine said. I am simply choosing not to close my hand yet. The spindle is compromised. I have more important things to do than crush a handful of gnats in a collapsing nest. He turned slightly, eyes narrowing as he threaded power through failing systems. Run, then, he said. Scurry back to your fleet. Tell them you stole their hero from my grasp. Let them bathe in hope. It will make the despair sweeter when I tear it from them. Kara's fists clenched. Thing about hope, she said. It usually survives people like you. Oh! Palpatine did not deign to answer. He flicked his cane. A circle of 4 plating at the rear of the chamber dropped, revealing a service shaft leading away. Go, he snapped, before I change my mind. The royal guards did not move, but their pikes dipped a fraction, leaving an opening. Kara looked at Luke. We can't trust him, she said. Of course not, Luke said, but we can use his arrogance. He moved first. He darted to Superman's side, kneeling. Clark, he said, shaking his shoulder gently. Can you hear me? Superman groaned. Present, he mumbled. Please tell me the universe didn't end. Not for lack of trying, Luke said. Can you stand? With help, Superman said. Dhruv lumbered over, favoring his injured arm, and hoisted Superman up again. Peek and Tanis collected their scattered gear. Sela grabbed what data she could from the nearest console with a quick slice run. Kara backed toward the opening, blaster still in hand, never taking her eyes off Palpatine. The Emperor ignored the weapon. He watched Superman. We are not finished, he said. Superman, half draped over Dhruv's shoulder, met his gaze. We're never finished, he said. That's sort of the point. Palpatine's lip curled. Run, Kryptonian, he said softly. Run and spread your stories. In the end, they will not save you. Maybe not, Superman said, but they might save someone else. Then he let Dhruv guide him into the shaft. Luke followed, then Kara, Peek, Tanis, Sella. The floor circle slid back into place behind them with a hiss. The last thing they heard before it sealed was the Emperor's laughter, low and furious and promise-laden. The emergency shaft was a cramped, angled tube, full of cables and rungs. It led them down, then sideways, and down again. Gravity flickered as backup systems strained. Sella panted, sweat stinging her eyes. I got a partial map, she said between breaths. 2 decks down, 1 lateral, and a maintenance hub connects to the docking ring. If he hasn't slammed those doors shut, we might, a tremor shook the shaft, die in a structural failure before we get there, Tanis finished dryly. Optimism, Tanis, Peak puffed. Just once. Saving it for after we're off the exploding sift tube, thanks, Tanis said. They emerged into the maintenance hub in a spray of dust and dislodged bolts. The room beyond was a tangle of pipes, scaffolds and access terminals. The lights flickered. Somewhere, coolant hissed. Docking ring access, Kara demanded. Sella pointed. There, she said. Secondary corridor. If he's as busy as I think keeping this place in one piece, he hasn't had time to individually lock every broom closet. As if on cue, a bulkhead door halfway down the corridor slid closed. Or he has, Peak said. Luke stepped forward. He could feel Palpatine's attention, like distant thunder, focused on the core. The Emperor had not forgotten them, but he was stretched. This one we can move ourselves, Luke said. He extended his hand. The force flowed around the door. It was heavy, thick, built to withstand decompression events. It groaned under his pull. Superman eased Drew's grip. Let me, he said. He stepped up beside Luke, and with a grimace put his hands on the door. His muscles trembled. The dampening was weaker now, but not gone. He was running on fumes and sheer stubbornness. Together, Luke said. He poured force into the motion. Superman poured the last of his physical strength. Metal screamed. The door shifted, then inched upward, opening just enough for a person to slip through. Go, Kara snapped. Peak, Tanis, Sella, move! They scrambled under the gap. Drew ducked, half carrying Superman. Kara slid through last, feeling the edge of the door scrape her back as it sagged. Luke released his grip and dove under as it slammed down behind him. He landed in a roll and came up running. Ahead, the corridor bent and opened into the docking ring. They skidded into it together. The ring's wide walkway circled an empty void where shuttles usually docked. Today, most berths were sealed. Veta 9 sat attached to one of the peripheral collars. Lights on, systems humming obediently. Bless that ugly ship, Kara breathed. An alert tone warbled overhead. Attention all personnel, a mechanical voice blared. Structural instability in central core. All non-essential staff evacuate to designated safe zones. Docking operations suspended. Peak whooped. They're evacuating, he said. Makes our job easier. Only if they don't evacuate into us, Tanis said, pointing. A squad of grey-armored security troopers pounded toward them along the ring. Kara sighed. Fine, she said. One last dance. She drew her blaster. Luke stepped up beside her, saber in hand. Drew gently set Superman against the docking collar. Stay, he rumbled. Superman grunted. I hate sitting out, he said. You've done enough, Kara said, without looking back. Let the rest of us be heroes for 5 minutes. He knew better than to argue. He watched them go instead. Kara and Peak moved in tandem, blaster bolts stitching a precise pattern that dropped the first rank of troopers. Luke deflected shots with his saber, sending some into the deck, others into the overhead piping. Steam burst from ruptured conduits, obscuring the trooper's aim. Drew charged with a roar, exoframe shrugging off glancing shots. He hit the line like a battering ram. Armor cracked. Men flew. Tanis lobbed a stun grenade down the corridor without looking. It detonated in a puff of blue light, dropping the rear guard. Sela sprinted for Theta 9's ramp. Her fingers flew over the external control pad. Come on, she thought. Don't make me beg. The ramp lowered. Everyone in, she shouted. Kara backpedaled toward the ship, firing. Pick covered her, laughing breathlessly. Drew hauled a semi-conscious trooper out of his way and tossed him into a wall with a yelp. Luke was last, walking backwards, saber a green blur. As he reached the ramp, he felt it, a brush at the edge of his mind. A cold, poisonous whisper. You could end this. He shoved it away. Go, he called. They piled into the ship. Sella slapped the ramp controls. It hissed up. Straps, Kara yelled. We're doing this dirty. Superman pushed himself into a crash seat and fumbled with the harness. His fingers were clumsy, but he got it done. Drew settled opposite, exoframe creaking. Pick and Tanis flopped into seats, still catching their breath. Luke slid into the co-pilot's chair. Kara took the pilot's. Theta 9 shuddered as the docking clamps released. Sealer dropped into the system station. Stations are freaking out, she said. We requested emergency undock permission. The Spindle's AI tried to deny it. Then the Emperor overrode it, in our favor. Kara's fingers froze on the yoke. He's letting us go, she said. For now, Luke said. Let's not make him regret it so much he changes his mind. Kara made a face. I intend to make him regret it eventually, she said. Just not in the next 30 seconds. She fired the maneuvering thrusters. Theta 9 kicked back from the station. The view through the forward port showed the Spindle up close. Shield sheets flickering, parts of the outer rings dark, a faint haze of gas venting from small ruptures. The neutron star beyond pulsed, its radiation bands intermittently visible as flashes across the hull. Plot a jump? Kara asked. Already on it, Seller said. Emergency vector to rendezvous with the Redemption. Minimum 2 microjumps to shake any pursuit. Good, Kara said. Because we're not hanging around to see if you patched his hole. She pushed the throttles. Theta 9's engines flared. The ship swung around the station's mass, skimming close enough that Luke could see tiny figures moving along its skin. Engineers in vacuum suits, scrambling to reinforce key sections. The Emperor's will held the Spindle together. For now. Luke could feel him watching. He stared back, metaphorically, through the Force. No words passed between them. None were needed. Then the star field stretched. Theta 9 leapt into hyperspace, and the Spindle vanished. The Redemption's hangar was quieter this time. No cheering crowds, no assembled honor guard. Just a cluster of medics, techs, and Mon Mothma, Riakan, Akbar, and Draven waiting by the marked landing zone. Theta 9 settled onto the deck with a bone-weary sigh. The ramp lowered. Kara came down first, helmet under her arm, hair a mess, face smudged. Pick and Tanis followed, trading exhausted quips. Druve ducked through the hatch, moving carefully. Then Superman descended. He needed Luke's shoulder again. He hated that. But he walked. His suit was almost unrecognizable, scorched, torn, the S a charred shadow. His cape was ragged, burns laced his arms and neck. His eyes were ringed with shadows. He still smiled. Mon Mothma stepped forward, relief flickering across her composed features for just a second before she smoothed it away. Welcome back, she said quietly. Superman's smile deepened. Nice to be welcomed anywhere by someone not trying to vivisect me, he said. Medbay, a stern medic said immediately. Now. I'm fine, Superman started. Luke and Kara said, No, you're not, in perfect unison. He looked between them, then sighed. Okay, he said. I'm eventually fine. The medic rolled her eyes but gestured to the gurneys. As they moved, Akbar fell into step beside Kara and Luke. The Spindle? He asked. Status. Not destroyed, Kara said, but damaged. We disrupted something central. Their core is not happy. The Emperor? Draven asked. Very much alive, Luke said. And very much focused on us. Mon Mothma's gaze went to Superman. And Earth? She asked softly. Superman's jaw tightened. He found it, he said. Or, close enough. He showed it to me. Told me he could reach it. Threatened it. Then, tried to make me choose. And you didn't, Kara said. He shook his head. I won't decide that one world is worth more, he said. Even mine. I'll fight to protect it. But not by selling another into slavery. Mon Mothma's eyes warmed. That is a hard line to hold, she said. I am glad you did. He's lost a tool, Dr. Draven mused. That node you mentioned, the resonance rig. Even if you rebuilt it, he'll be wary of the same failure. Fear makes even Sith cautious. Good, Kara said. I like him cautious. It means he flinches. Akbar's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. And he knows now that we will go to great lengths for each other, he said. That we consider one man worth a black site raid. That we will walk into a trap rather than leave someone behind. Not exactly a secret we can hide, Riken said. No, Akbar said. But it is part of who we are, and now it is something he must account for. Superman looked at them all. You know, you're not angry, he asked. How can you do that? He says, we didn't go for one person. We went for you. There's a difference. You've already bought us time twice over, Dr. Venn said. Bought those refugees chances they never had. Screwed with the Empire's listening posts. Embarrassed at least one Star Destroyer captain. That's more than a lot of recruits manage in a lifetime. Mon Mothma nodded. We measure our decisions by principles and consequences, she said, not by telling whose life is worth what. If we had left you there, our movement would be poorer, not just in power, but in what we say we stand for. Superman blinked. Emotions chased each other across his face. Thank you, he said quietly. Luke squeezed his arm. Besides, he said, you're not allowed to go out like that. If anyone gets to be thrown down a reactor shaft by the Emperor someday, it's probably going to be my job. Let's not plan on that, Kara said. Luke shrugged, eyes twinkling faintly. Just saying, he said. The medic cleared her throat pointedly. Move, she said. They obeyed. The med bay smelled of antiseptic and quiet. Superman lay on a reinforced bed, monitors humming softly. A Bacta patch covered the worst of the burns on his side. His shoulder was wrapped. His knuckles were bandaged, though the skin beneath was already knitting. Kara sat in a chair beside him, boots propped on the edge of the bed. Luke leaned against the opposite wall, arms crossed loosely. They say you'll be back to punching above your weight in a couple of days, Kara said. Relatively speaking. Superman smiled. Relative to what? He asked. Asteroids? Relative to me, what if Superman was telling you so much? He chuckled, then winced as his ribs protested. Luke watched him. That node, he said. When you hit it, you saw your world. Yeah, Superman said softly. Do you think he really can reach it? Luke asked. Superman stared at the ceiling for a moment. I think he was close, he said. Close enough that if he had a few more months, the right toys, a willing or unwilling anchor, he could open something. Not clean, not safe, but enough to hurt a lot of people. And now? Kara asked. Now his toy is broken, Superman said. He'll rebuild, he's patient, but he'll have to start over in some ways. That buys us time. Kara nodded. And if we find out he's trying again? She said. Then I'm going to be very motivated to stop him, Superman said. You already are, Luke said. Superman smiled faintly. Maybe a little more, he said. They were quiet for a moment. Soft beeps filled the space between words. You know, Kara said eventually, you could go. If we find a way. You've earned that. Nobody here would blame you for wanting to see your home again. Superman didn't answer immediately. He thought of Earth again. Of Lois. Of the League. Of people who might be wondering where he had gone. He thought of the Spindle. Of refugees. Of Kara's crew. Of Luke's steady refusal to turn. I want to go back, he said. Of course I do. But if there's one thing this whole mess has taught me, it's that the universe is a lot bigger and a lot messier than I thought. And that there are people here who need help just as much as Metropolis ever did. He turned his head to look at them. Right now, he said. You're right now, he said. Your galaxy is the one in front of me. My responsibility is to the people I can reach, to the fights I can actually show up for, until we find a way to protect both. He shrugged slightly. I'm here, he said. With you? Kara's eyes shone. Just a little. Good, she said, because I was not looking forward to explaining to Mon Mothma that we lost you again. Luke smiled. The Force brought you here for a reason, he said. Maybe part of that reason is that we needed someone to show us what it looks like to hold your line when the villain offers you everything you've ever wanted. Superman snorted. That line gets a lot harder to hold when he throws your home on the table, he said. And you still held it, Luke said. Superman looked at him. So did you, he said. He kept pushing you, trying to get you to hate, to strike. Luke's gaze dropped for a moment. I wanted to, he admitted. For a second. But you didn't, Superman said. That's what matters. The door hissed open. Mon Mothma stepped in, alone. Forgive the intrusion, she said. I'll be brief. I have 100 minor crises demanding attention now that you've handed the Emperor a new source of irritation. Happy to help, Superman said dryly. I wanted to say this in person, she said, moving closer. Thank you. All of us went, Kara said. Mon Mothma nodded. You did, she said, and I'm grateful to all of you. But I needed to say it to him as well. She met Superman's eyes. You had the opportunity, even if only in appearance, to secure safety for your own world by sacrificing ours, she said. You refused. That matters. Not just to me or to the Alliance, but to the story we tell ourselves about what kind of universe we live in. Superman shifted, uncomfortable with the weight of it. I'm just a guy who didn't make a deal with the devil, he said. Sometimes that's the hardest thing, Mon Mothma said. And the most important. She smiled, small but genuine. Rest, she said. Recuperate. Draven will no doubt harass you for debriefs later. Akbar will want your tactical assessment. Han will probably challenge you to an arm wrestling contest out of sheer stubbornness when he hears about this. Han? Superman asked. Don't worry about it, Kara said quickly. Different story. Mon Mothma inclined her head to all three of them. May the Force be with you, she said. She left. Silence settled again. So, Kara said after a bit. What now? Superman thought for a moment. Now? He said. We let the doctors poke me for a while. Then I eat something that is not nutrient-paced. Then I sleep for a week. After that, Luke said. Superman smiled. After that, he said, we see what trouble we can get into next. Kara grinned. I have some ideas, she said. Luke's eyes twinkled. So do I, he said. The Empire has more listening posts. More black sites. More places that think they're untouchable. Sounds like a job for someone, Superman said. He looked down at the scorched, half-gone emblem on his chest. For a team, he corrected himself. Luke nodded. Rebellions are built on that, he said. On teams? Kara asked. On hope, Luke said. Superman lay back, eyes drifting closed, the faintest of smiles on his lips. In his mind's eye, Earth hung in space. So did 1,000 other worlds. None more important than the next. All of them worth fighting for. He didn't know when or if he'd see his home again, but he knew this. In a galaxy ruled by fear, hope didn't have to win every battle. It just had to keep showing up. Right now, that hope wore a ragged red cape, lay in a medbay full of rebels, and was already thinking about the next time someone cried out for help in a voice they thought the stars couldn't hear. Clark Kent listened. He always had. He always would. And somewhere, far away, under a yellow sun, a breeze rustled through Kansas corn, as if the universe itself were answering, I hear you too. The end.